Hello, Joe. Welcome to your diary entry. I think
Thanks.
are you a month in now?
Today.
Wow, a month today.
It's
I feel like
so
that's flown
crazy.
by.
I know. Me too. It's so crazy. That's crazy.
We when we spoke last week, you were on a bit of an up. Ideas were popping again. You were feeling like you had your headspace back and things were like in the groove and it was going well. We obviously speak off mic. Sorry to break the fourth wall there, everyone. Um, but I know that this week's been a bit harder, and I think it would be great if you could share a little bit about what you've been working through this week, because I think there is a real high when you first arrive, and then there's a reality of like, oh, this is our life now, and we need to. Um, there's maybe things you weren't expecting, and things you're learning, and without going into all the details, would you be willing to share a little bit of what's been happening this week?
Sure. Um, so I feel I feel like this is one of the pluses and minuses of doing a weekly check-in and seeing how volatile the mindset can be. But I feel like last week was super cocky Joe, and now I'm like, oh, I cried like 5 times yesterday. So I actually think this would be another very interesting exercise. I said last week it'd be funny to see how many of these that we start still cackling from being off mic. It would be very interesting to map these episodes with my menstrual cycle to see maybe there's alignment in when the down weeks are. I'd be very, very,
We
very
might be
intrigued.
we might be getting outside of the scope of Alora
Maybe
there, but you're willing, like, very happy for you to do that in your own time.
in my own time.
Takeaway activities.
Yeah, I may or may not report back on that. Um, yeah, this week's been a slog. I've felt really not the whole. I shouldn't say the whole week, but the last couple of days have been pretty heavy, I guess, in that I had a sort of a bit of a reality of how different everyone in the family unit's experience is at the moment, and um, what how I'm sort of still the central point of pulling that all together. So obviously my husband's getting his groove at work, but we've now got this added sort of financial conversation going on between us because we didn't get the household, and so there's been things like massive insurance bills that it costs to insure a farm, which I had been putting on monthly installments, hoping that we wouldn't have to pay the whole hog because we would sell it. All those realities of coming in, and then now it's sitting there empty and has been for 6 weeks, and we're still paying a mortgage on it and things. So there's now that sort of financial conversation that's happening there. We have one little Angel, our younger one, who is just so delightful and is living best life. She literally said to my husband last week, oh, Dad, I'm so grateful that you got this job. I love my new friends. My teacher makes me feel so happy. I just love it here. And he
Oh,
was like, ooh. So he's like, I even teared up a bit. He's like, it was so nice. So she is not on my worry wagon at the moment. But the older one is just, I think, I'm carrying a lot of the thoughts and things that she's doing. And, she's a bit older. She's 12. Was going to be going into awkward zone anyway. But, we've uprooted her away from the familiarity of home and the dog and routine and the friends and, the responsibilities and things that she had at home. And I think that it probably would have been transitioning into a trickier stage of life anyway, and then we've just sort of compounded it and put it into a pressure cooker. And I guess this week I didn't really realise how much of her I'm carrying and sort of hovering while trying not to hover and watching that she's all right. And then at the same time being like you said, okay, we live here now. what does my routine look like? You know, we tried to give a fair bit of breathing space for me with work, with other bits and pieces, so that I could be doing exactly this, keeping an eye on how everyone's going. But yeah, yesterday I was just a bit like, "Ugh." And then a girlfriend, like, you know, then when you do annoying things, like I accidentally did something in the back end of something on the computer and it cancelled a bunch of meetings in my calendar, and then I was trying to then email people, was like, surely 5 people can't have cancelled meetings on me at the same time, so I've obviously done something. So I sort of, you know, sent some emails off to flick them, and they were all like, how's it all going? Oh, like this. And then one of them didn't actually respond, she just rang me, and I burst into tears when I answered the phone. So I was like, "Eek." But anyway, it was just luck that she's a very good friend who has done a lot of the things that I've done in life with work and with business partners and with relocations and rural life and all the complexities that come with that. And she was like, we don't speak often, and it was just one of those, like, it was the universe doing what I needed for the day. Yeah. So you then got to talk to me afterwards, and I was in a bit better shape when I spoke to you.
No, I felt like someone had taken my place. I didn't get that version of you, but that's fine.
Maybe I need to start recording side interviews where I just like am losing the plot with other people other than you. Bonus episode.
Special guest.
Yeah, special guest. So yeah, it's I'm feeling much better today. You'll be very proud of me. I've literally just finished a yoga class.
Good.
But then again, like, I say these things and then I feel ridiculous, which again, I shouldn't feel ridiculous. Everything's relative. I think about the world and the state of things and all of those, and I feel ridiculous that I'm feeling overwhelmed in my poor little expat girl life of getting to go and do all these exciting things. So I'm then sort of struggling with that a bit as well, just with my internal dialogue. So, you know, and I know all the things. And I know all the things that my psychologist would say, and I know all the things that you're probably just about to say or that you're sitting on as well. But, like, you know, that's sort of sitting in there in the mix as well. So I think that I'm sure a lot of people will be able to relate to that when you're feeling like, I can't whinge to people about this. I can't tell people at home that I'm feeling like crap because, you know, we were so excited and, you know, we're the ones doing the exciting things, and hang on, you've got to enjoy every single minute over there. Like, that's the sort of thing that you think. So anyway, that's the headspace this week.
I actually think it's so important to share that, and like, we have talked about recognition of the privilege that we have in these situations, and so I am going to park that because I think that's a whole other conversation, and just focus on you, which is the purpose of this session. I feel like as your therapist. No, but I do think we could spend a lot of time talking about that, and I don't want to minimize those feelings because I think they're real and important to hold alongside what you're going through. But I'm just reflecting on when I made my move to Singapore and how I really struggled to name exactly what you've just talked about, that the feeling of overwhelm alongside knowing that this is something that we had chosen. And, like, you know, my parents were really sad to see me go, or my friends were really sad to see me go, and I had chosen to leave. And so I couldn't complain to them about this lifestyle of living in the tropics when they were in the middle of winter, and, you know, how hard it was because I'd chosen it. Like, it took me so long to get to a point of being like, yes, and I can hold those feelings together. And I was really good at doing it for my kids, who were super little at the time. And I still am good at doing that for my kids, but I'm terrible at doing it for myself. And I think it's really important to name it like you have. And just, if anyone else is listening to this and has that moment of being like, oh yeah, that is okay, I can hold those two feelings at the same time. So thank you for sharing. I wish I'd heard it 5 years ago. I'm sure someone will appreciate hearing it right now. And for you, I want to like just rewind slightly because you made a joke about your cycle. And I mean, maybe that's true. And you're in a really hard time as well. So you're allowed to just have feelings without it being reflective of your hormones. So I also don't want you to minimize it by saying it's just like it could be all the things happening inside your body and all the things happening to around you. So I just
100%.
wanted to
No, I
reflect that
agree.
back to you.
I agree. But you know, and this was interesting, and I haven't really done it before, and I didn't really know how to navigate this, so I would love your thoughts and ponderings on this. So, the little child that is loving life, I took her to school yesterday, and one of the 5 times that I cried yesterday, she is like, her like emotional intelligence levels are like high. She was like, "Are you okay?" And then I was like, "No, not really." This is while we're walking through the school. Thank God I had sunglasses on. I was like, anyway, we like stopped and she sat down and she said, "I can tell." And I was like, so she's 10, just for reference. "I can tell." And we sort of sat and I sort of said, "Oh, you know, I didn't know whether or not like I should just sort of suck it up and hold it in and sort of just let you think that I'm fine. But I think what I need from you is a big cuddle and, you know, and you go off to school." And I could see her sort of welling up and she was like, "I don't like it when you're sad." But anyway, big hug, and off she goes to school. And when I was putting her to bed last night, I said, "Thank you for those hugs at school today. You made me feel so much better." And she said, "I thought about you a lot during the day." And she said, "I'm kind of glad you cried." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Yeah, it made me think that, you know, maybe my mum's not perfect at this whole moving thing." And I was like, "Well, okay." So I was like, "So was it good that I did and showed you?" And she was like, "Yeah, I think it was good." I was like, "Okay."
That's
So,
like some wow. That's such positive feedback and such a good reminder. Like, yes, this isn't a parenting session, but I do think, you know, in our everyday lives, we don't have to like showing up authentically and not having to be perfect all the time is a really good reminder because you didn't leave her feeling like you were about to lose it or like that she couldn't leave you. She felt confident to go into the day, but she also recognizes that those feelings are real and okay to have, and that her mum is like doing all this other amazing stuff as well.
yeah, and it was like, it was an interesting one because I think she's probably only just at a level, like at an age and maturity now to cope with that, like, or to be able to carry that for the day. So I don't know, it was really good. So I think, like, maybe again, if you're listening and you're like, "Oh, you know, do I need to have it all smiles and laughs and things for the kids?" I think that obviously it's going to differ for different families and ages and stages and levels of maturity and those sorts of things. But I think I'm starting to see that they can actually handle more than I give them credit for as well.
Yeah. And I think for people who don't have kids, which will be lots of people in our membership as well, it's being able to be vulnerable with your friends and your family, which you get, like I wasn't able to do that for so long. And I think it wasn't until my best friend came to visit me and she saw our life here that I properly opened up about some of the challenges. And that was like a good 2 years into living away that I'd sort of had a bit of I'd struggled to name and talk about it. And so for people who are slower with their naming their feelings, nothing wrong with that. But like I did feel that there was such release when I was able to share that with other people and not hold it within myself. Just another example of us being exactly the same, Joe.
Yeah, just another one. Well, it's so funny because I do have a group of girlfriends who, like, literally, I was speaking with one on my walk this morning, and she said, "How are you going this week?" She said, "That text on Tuesday didn't sound very good," and I was like, "No." So it's good, like, that she and I are big feelings talker at home anyway, so we, like, are primed for this. But I think as well, though, is I don't actually. I'm also that bit older again. I don't actually care that if people at home are, like, thinking, "Oh God, Joe's finding it really tough over there," because 100% everyone would. And the fact that I think, if anything, though, I don't want to ever be the reason that people are turned off by doing something like this or relocating even domestically, because they're like, if Joe found it hard, then how am I going to do it?
Yeah.
Like, if the eternal optimists and extroverts having a tough time, then oh my God, I would never cope. So I don't want that to be the case at all.
Well, first, I don't think you own that for everyone, and all different types of people can do this, as demonstrated right here. And I also think it's a really good reminder, and it's, before we started Alora, we did a lot of stakeholder research about the kinds of people who would be members, and one of the main things that came back was our members and people who make these moves are adventurous. They want to take on new challenges, so going and moving into a new environment is something that they do choose to do, and it can still be really, really hard. So that can be an introverted pessimist or an extroverted optimist. It takes all types, but I think that's a theme that run through. And I again, it took me a little while to realize that as well. And it wasn't until someone back home said, "Oh God, Lou, I could never move. Like, I found the house I want to live in. I found the suburb I want to live in. I'm building my community here. This is my life and this is what I want." And I was like, oh yeah, like, people want different things. It's crazy.
All right, I've had that realization since I was about 13.
But I think it is a good reminder that you are kind of unique in wanting to live this life.
Yeah, true.
I think as well, just going back to, we've talked a lot about the mental load over this whole series, and just hearing you talk about it again in this context of holding your family together, it's reminded me, my daughter's teacher is doing this activity in their class at the moment where she is recording the kids and asking them what their parents do, and then asking the parents to record what they do and comparing the two. So it'll be really funny when it comes out, I'm sure. But I'm the class coordinator. Who would have thought it? So I'm coordinating all the videos, and it's really interesting. This is the first time and I don't want to go down a gender path, but I am. All the dads have been the first to respond with videos of themselves. And one mum sent through the video of her partner and said, I'm just a homemaker. And so she wasn't sending a video at all. And so I've just sent a text to the class WhatsApp group saying, hey, to all the parents here who are CEO, COO, CPO of your household right now, that's a really important job. It's a full-time job, and our kids need to see it and value it. So please send through your videos. And I just got a bunch of love hearts in response. But I was just like, wow, this is everywhere, where people are diminishing that work that they're doing. And again, why we have started Alora, so that
I was going to say, did you also then send a link to our website?
Yeah, that's on my BD list. That's the offline.
So funny.
But it was
it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I think that's super interesting as far as what the kids are seeing, but also what your spouse, even more so if you don't have kids, is how you're referring to what you're doing and your role and your unpaid work that you do in the home, the family unit, the social circles, and all of those things. I think that's a very interesting. Maybe this is actually an activity that we need to do with members as well, is actually get them to send a video in.
Yeah. Well, I did, and I think that language of like "I'm just" is really like it really hit me to read and see that, because it's such a tiny thing, but it's that language we use to describe ourselves that becomes embedded in the way we think of ourselves and the way we present ourselves. And of course, this wasn't meant to be a segue, but we have got a bunch of labs that dive into this, where we're helping our members to think about what their values are. And the personal brand lab is a really great one in terms of how you show up in the world, and exactly around this language to describe ourselves. So wasn't meant to do a pitch, but there you go. Check it out.
Well, I think it's an interesting also thing to note around like origin story of the Trailing Spouse Co, which evolved into Allura, was that when I got to Singapore, I saw such a parallel between the group of people that I have been working with my company in Australia, which was rural people who were isolated from the workforce because of their geography, and so really trying to push and advocate for remote work and being able to work from where you are, and that language around "I'm just," and it was such a big thing in the farming industry, where you've got generally, again, gendering, but the farmer is the breadwinner and the worker, but the spouse, I just do the books, which is I just do the financials. And I would constantly be like, you are the chief financial officer of a multi-million-dollar operation. Like, land value alone, these businesses are like enormous businesses, and you just doing the books is like the language around that. So that's fascinating to hear. And again, that this is 2026 that we're recording this, and it's still the language that people are using as a throwaway.
Yeah. It's a bit concerning.
But I think sometimes it is the perfect statement that someone says for anyone. Doesn't have to be us who are obviously in the business of this, but for anyone to call people out on it and say, you're just in unpaid work.
Yeah.
You are doing a full-time job that is unpaid. That doesn't make it less, nothing functions. The spouse can't literally go and make the money if there is not food on the table, the groceries haven't been done, or all of the things that go, like, the clothes aren't clean. And I know that all sounds very domestic and somewhat frustrating or boring or whatever, but again, emotions need to happen. Like, even just now, like, I'm put a load of washing on before I left. I will go home and hang it out, and there's magically clean clothes in everyone's cupboards that no one seems to notice is just there when they go to put clean undies on.
Well, the other thing I know you're doing today is around your visas and being in Bangkok, and it reminded me when we first came to Singapore, all the setup with bank accounts and all that paperwork that needs to be done. I've got a friend who recently relocated to Japan as the accompanying partner, and there's a huge barrier there in terms of language, and so she's having to do that on behalf of her family, but having to hire an assistant to help her manage that process. And so she is the accompanying partner managing full-time an assistant to help her family relocate in another country. It's that's a huge job.
Yeah, that's managing staff.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've just been reflecting on all those things that you would be organising on behalf of your household just so you can live in another country.
But even just like the logistics this morning at 6:30, when I was like, oh, actually, I don't know how to sign the kids out of school early. So then emailing and then going to school at 7:30 this morning to go, and because the kids, one's in primary school and one's in secondary school, going to two different front offices to then be like, how do I get the kids? And we don't do phones. How do I get them to know to come down to the office at 2:00? I was like, I don't know how any of this. So I spent just the logistics of doing that to then get them out of school early, to navigate public transport, to go to a government building where the business, like Hugh's company, the third party that's managing us, I'm using that term even more loosely now the further we go into this, someone will meet us there, but it's like, I'll meet you at the 5th floor next to this escalator, like this, and they've sent a photo through. I'm like, oh my gosh, this has got hairs on it. So
Treasure hunt.
yeah, but then also finding out that we then have to leave the country again to step back in to like actually activate the visas and things. I'm just like, oh my God. So anyway,
all the things that need to get done just so one person can work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff is really real. It's really time consuming. It would be adding to how you're feeling, and it's okay to have highs and lows.
Well, I do have one high.
Oh yeah, go.
Our stuff is here in the country. It's at a port in a shipping container somewhere, but it is here. And again, just the weird, I shouldn't say weird because it's just different ways of doing things, but literally someone on a motorbike came to our house yesterday and picked up Hugh's passport and like ID card to take on our behalf to the port to go through customs. And I'm like, just like, and he gave me like a piece of paper with his name and phone number on it. Like, I know I'm just going to go with the process, but everything, my father would die if I told him that this is what he's like, it never leaves your side. You go with them. I was like, I'm not going to the port, mate, to go and, to sit through, I don't even know what, in a language I don't know. But yeah, just even some of the things where you just got to trust that it will work.
Trust the system, the new system.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that ends happily with your passport returned and all your belongings. Let us know if we need to find a new Hugh out there.
Yeah, good. I know, that's what I said. Hopefully they don't just in this downtime go and start a new identity for you and buy 3 houses and we end up in a world of pain. So
fingers crossed. I believe in the system. It will work.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, let's check in with you next week when hopefully you have a house full of your own stuff.
Yes, hopefully. Maybe. I don't know. They said 5 working days from
and a new
husband. Some time. Yeah. And my husband is now Thai.
All right.
Okay.